Welcome to Musing with Tanya D. I am your host once again, Tanya D, and thanks for joining me. In this nature series, we're going to start with fire. And the fire season actually starts on May 6th, with the peak of the fire season being June 21st. And then it goes on in through July, and then we transition back into 3 weeks of the earth or late summer transition before we enter fall. But with the fire season, and as we enter summer with its peak around the 21st of June and the summer solstice, that's when the sun is at its northernmost position in relationship to the earth. And at the solstice, you have the longest daylight of the year, where the sun is considered yang and it gives energy, causes action, and outward movement, creating the hot and the dry climate. And all of this leads to increased travel, because that's what we do in the summer, more work, lots of play, out in the rays of the beautiful sun. But on solstice day, it also marks the beginning cycle of growing darkness, or the yin energy, which will peak 6 months later at the winter solstice. And I can't even believe I said that out loud. I am so not a cold winter girl. I'm just saying. Summer is actually my season, and it's the season of growth and maturity. It's when the flowers and the fruits that are all around us and our gardens are growing tall, we're equally maturing and growing. And this is the high point of outdoor exercise, sports, water recreation, and hikes in nature. What a great time to be out. We should make sure to get a lot of recreation and lots of solar energy when the sun is at its peak. But however, wear a ton of sunscreen, because skin cancer sucks. Just throwing that out there. It's the shits. And in the summer, there are tons of changes going on. And in Chinese health and philosophy, its theory of the 5 elements gives great awareness of this change, both in nature and in our bodies, because they're actually a mirror of each other, where energy must stay in motion within us and in our lives to continually nourish and create harmony. So we need to learn to flow as nature flows through the seasons. Tensions happen when we resist the flow. Illness can occur when we resist our changes. And illness is usually a process which goes on and makes us more receptive and more open to change. That's actually the crazy value of getting sick, no matter what level it is. So within the summer season and the element of fire, it's the summer, and it's providing the energy governing the heart and the small intestine. But there are also 2 other systems linked to this fire element, and it runs along the energy pathways. And each of the elements has 2, but the fire actually has 2 extra systems. And psychological aspects of fire energy, and it's called the circulation sex, or the pericardium. And the functions to protect the heart and regulate blood flow, heat, and nourishment throughout the body. The other system is termed the 3-heater, triple warmer, or 3 burners in Chinese medicine. And it acts to maintain the proper temperature and the warmth of the body, where the heart and the small intestine, along with the pericardium and the triple warmer, they're given symbolic roles. And the actions of these 4 energies in the body give us an overall picture of how the organs all work together in their unique ecosystem, which it's fascinating to me. So the heart has to do with the ability to rule, to understand, to see clearly, and to serve compassionately, where the small intestine functions to receive, digest, and assimilate nourishment. It sorts out and extracts the good from what we actually eat. So it's described as the organ or the separator of the pure from the impure, where the pericardium is the protector of the heart and it regulates the blood flow. And I'm not going to go there, but and some other stuff. We'll just say that. So within the middle of the thorax, and it's the part between the breasts, is the official of the center who guides the subjects in their joys and their pleasure. So in the last organ function that the Chinese link to the fire element is the triple warmer, the burner. And these are located along the mid-chest, where the upper burner relates to the heart and the lungs, the solar plexus, where the middle burner relates to the stomach, the spleen, the gallbladder, the liver, and the small intestine. That baby's busy. And the umbilical area, where the lower burner is associated with the large intestine, the bladder, and the kidneys. And their job is to produce heat and energy for the body through respiration, digestion, and elimination. Respectively, the coolness over any of the three surfaces suggests weakness in the specific function. And the two fire functions, circulating and heating, are important to the overall harmony of the body. And I have to say, my friend just got a tattoo on her wrist. And I don't mind tattoos, but I have to say, like, knowing where these pathways are in the body and their entry points, it always freaks me out because I know what's going on the energy pathways. But like I said, pull that week. Okay. So within the fire element, there is fire, which is light and warmth, and its function in the body is to maintain heat, but it's also to give warmth to others. And fire as an element, it is enthusiastic, it has vitality, it's energy. And it also relates to the southern direction in time and space, to the color of red, and it's a strong attraction to or an avoidance of red might just represent an imbalance of the fire energy, which is good to know. The element associated with the summer and fire are joy or sadness, where excessive joy or laughter, especially as inappropriate responses, they're considered abnormal emotions, and as well as sadness, it can create or result from an imbalance in the fire element. So the ability to make the laughing sound comes from fire, where the flavor associated with fire is bitter. And I love bitter foods, herbs, because they're strengthening to the heart and the small intestine. But if you have an excess of this flavor, it can actually injure them. So you need to learn to apply the maximum amount if a little is good. It's not necessarily better. It actually can be harmful if you do excess of bitter. And you have to realize it's the heart. So everything in moderation. That's the key to optimal health. So to balance the 5 flavors in your nutrition, there's sweet, there's sour, there's spicy, there's bitter, and there's salty. And they all keep the body in harmony. And the Daijing offers this wisdom that if people pay attention to the 5 flavors and blend them well, their bones will remain straight, their muscles will remain tender and young. Breath and blood will circulate freely. The pores will be in fine texture, and consequently, breath and bones will be filled with the essence of life. So, fire being the most yang element, the most active, outward, and masculine energy, because fire is the sun, its energy, its warmth, its vitality, and sunlight being yang as well, noon is when yang energy is actually at its peak, and the heart's dominant time of day is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Dawn and dusk have a balance between yin and yang, while midnight is the most yin. And the fire element relates to the energy of creativity, intuition, and motion. It's the action that carries out the idea from the wood element, and the action leads to the manifestation of the earth element, where wood creates fire, which creates earth. And fire people, and I'm sure you can't tell I'm accessing the fire element, we thrive on activity, new ideas, ventures, and we love change. It's just part of being a fire person. So when I talk about the heart and the small intestine, the two organs that correspond to the summer season and the fire element, the heart, as one of the organs that are most active in the summer season, is the regulator of blood circulation and the one to give attention to now in the peak of summer. It's our own muscular 4-chambered pump, and it moves the blood as it carries oxygen along with other nutrients to the rest of the body. And its function is regulated by this intrinsic electrical system that keeps a steady beat, causing contraction of the heart muscle through electrical discharge. And the heart is finely sensitive to feedback mechanisms concerning our brain, along with muscle, oxygen, and the needs of those, which are communicated to the heart through the nervous system. With its rate and rhythm are also determined by our breathing and our mental and emotional states. The hard-working ruler of the body serves each cell's needs in pumping some 3,000 gallons of blood per day to the neighboring lungs, which all blood must pass to obtain oxygen. Like, this whole system works together. It's really fascinating. I won't go there, but so after it goes through the venous circulation, the oxygenation, and then the blood is returned back to the heart, which then pumps it back out into the body to all the other parts that can receive the nourishing breath of light. So blood pressure is the force exerted by the blood inside the blood vessels. The determining factors of blood pressure are the force of the heart muscle doing the contraction, the volume of blood, and the resistance of blood vessels. The pressure changes as the heart beats. It's highest when the heart pumps and lowest when the heart is filling. And the accepted measures for normal blood pressure are below 140/90, measured in millimeters of mercury, actually. And the average blood pressure is in the range of 110 to 120 to 70 to 80. And any pressure above 140 or 90 for a period of time is considered high blood pressure or hypertension. And it goes along, and the disease endangers the health of the heart and shortens your lifespan, actually. So factors that affect blood pressure levels are your age, your sex, your weight, your nutrition, your activity, the level of stress, which can be physical, mental, emotional, and I honestly believe spiritual as well. So somebody who needs a treatment program with mild to moderate high blood pressure might include some reprogramming of the body and your nutrition status. So you might need weight loss, change your salt intake, regular cardio exercise, and rest, believe it or not. And it's vital, important, is like the relief of stress and the avoidance of stressful situations, as well as avoiding cigarette smoking, too much alcohol, or even caffeine. And changing your nutrition quotient can actually lower your blood pressure, but it should also be checked monthly. So I'm not a doctor, I'm just musing, okay? My blood pressure always runs low. I mean, sometimes I wonder if they think I'm even alive when I go get mine checked. It's hilarious. That's kind of funny. So, as an indicator of the general state of your heart health is actually your tongue. So if you can stick your tongue out, the fire element gives its energy to the function of speech. And a tongue should be moist and pink. If it's red, then the fire or heart energy might be too strong, which could lead to your inability to relax or slow down. And if it's pale, it reflects weakness of the fire element, possibly anemia. And anemia is a reduction of circulating your red blood cells, which cause weakened capacity for the oxygen and the nutrients through the body. And there's many causes, but all affect the amount of circulating oxygen, creating symptoms like lethargy, slowness in action, or your thinking, coldness, especially in the hands or the feet. Where a coated tongue relates more to your diet, poor digestive functioning. If you smoke, a yellow coated tongue is very common in that area. So to check your heart and the circulatory functions, observe the facial complexion color or the body color, especially the fingertips or the fingernails. You might also want to check any swelling, particularly the ankles and the shin bones. This could represent sluggish circulation, excess salt intake, fluid overload, temperature of the hands and feet. I think people need to spend more time paying attention to when the body speaks the language of the body. So we have our feet, our hands, the nervous system, apprehension can actually constrict your blood vessels, and it creates the part of our fight or flight response to deal with stress and creates potential danger. Relaxation is very important for the heart and for keeping up with the rhythm of life. The other organ to take care of in the summer is the small intestine. And the small intestine is actually the key to our nourishment because only nutrients that can actually use are those which we digest and assimilate through the small intestine. So as the teeth in the stomach work our food into a liquid state, they help with the enzymes and the pancreas and the bile and the liver and the gallbladder and other things. The small intestine transforms the foods we eat into usable components like glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids. They then get absorbed into the bloodstream from the small intestine, transported to the liver, which the liver will either distribute them for immediate use or stores them for future use. So, the small intestine, it's very clear that the nutrients move at a reasonable rate and can be absorbed, and the waste carried on to the large intestine. However, if your body has a lot of mucus present in the intestinal lining, or if the intestines move too fast, your body will receive very little nourishment from the food that you're actually eating. So, if you occasionally rest the intestines by a few days or longer of juices, as I talked about in the section of nature and the spring, and avoid eating high mucus-forming foods like meats, dairy products, breads, and of course sugar, you'll actually help your intestines stay in a state of proper digestion and assimilation. As the Neijing says, the small intestines are like the officials who are trusted with the riches and create change of the physical substance. So, that is enough musing for today. Thanks for joining me for this podcast, and make sure to take care of your heart and your small intestine, and I will muse further about the element of fire as the season carries forward. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.